Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door. It is the morning after transfer deadline day. There's going to be lots of bleary-eyed people. Look, I'm bleary-eyed every day because I have a 3-week-old baby. So apologies, I was going to go live last night, but days just happened to get away from you. So I did manage to get to bed and try and follow the last of the transfers, but I was up bright and early today to record this. So what we're going to do, I know I've gone all the way through the window looking at each and every transfer. That would take forever after yesterday. So what I've decided to do instead is to look at each club as a whole. Now that the window is closed and everything is over, I think we can go in, look through each club and sort of try and figure out who's had a good window and who's had a bad window. Obviously, look, that's entirely subjective. And frankly, nobody knows. The proof is in the pudding. Someone who looks like they've had a good window, the key player gets injured and go off on a bad run and the manager's out within 2 months. Someone who looks like they've had a bad window, it doesn't matter. The players that are already there go through. So very, very subjective. What I'm looking at is kind of net gains and net losses. Have clubs particularly had to get rid of players that they would have wanted to keep? Have they brought in players that improved their team? Moreover, have they brought in players that other clubs didn't want to sell that are on an upward trajectory? We'll try and get a bit of a handle on it, just to be completely transparent with what we are doing. I'm going to give a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a thumbs in the middle. Again, not massively scientific, but we'll get a little feel on it. We're going to focus on recruitment, not results. Obviously, in the end, the whole point of recruitment is that it garners results. Maybe this season, maybe next season. But please, there is a distinction at the moment. You have to ignore the current league table because there are teams that could have had bad windows that might have had a good start. There are teams that have had good windows that might have had a bad start. So let's draw the distinction between the current league table and the window. This is off-field stuff. And then, of course, yes, at the end of the season, we can talk about how it's borne fruit on the pitch. My source is Transfermarkt. Look, if they don't have a player yet on their lists, I apologise, and they may be missed out. Should have everything updated. And again, fees, my big bugbear. Please, let's not get into a conversation and a debate about fees. Be totally honest with yourself. You don't know the fees. I don't know the fees. Unless it's like Jack Grealish and there's an obvious clause that's public, nobody knows the fees. We'll go with the Transfermarkt numbers. And honestly, without sounding like a giant prick about this, unless you can present me first-hand evidence, and that doesn't mean a journalist's report of what a fee is, I don't care what you think the fee is. You don't know. I don't know. So let's not get bogged down into that. One big thing to think, not every transfer works out. And we need to not lose sight of that going into this conversation because every transfer makes sense when it happens because you play out the best case scenario. But you tell me, what ratio of transfers actually work out? Even the great managers, what, 60, 70% batting average? I don't know. I'm sure if they told you it was 50-50, they'd be perfectly happy with that. So, don't assume every signing your club has made is brilliant. It won't be. Some of them will be good. Some of them won't work out. Some of them you didn't think were going to work out are going to work out. And some of them that look like home runs are going to be a complete dead flop. It just happens sometimes. So just make sure that's in your head when you're getting all grumpy about me saying your transfer business is thumbs in the middle or whatever. They don't always work out. And please comment your opinion. I always write that because often people don't actually comment their opinion. They comment on my opinion without giving their own opinion. Comment your opinion. I'm really interested to hear. Right, let's get into this. I've waffled too long. Right, here is Barnsley's ins and outs. And of course, Barnsley, very much a transitional season in the respect of new manager, and we talk about the captain going out. However, not transitional in the sense of some Barnsley transfer windows. Remember when they came up and who did they sell? Davies, Lindsay, Kiefer Moore. It was someone else. Doesn't feel entirely like that. Let's look at the outs first. Chaplin, Adai, Simos. Mowat is the big one. Ritzmaier, Aitchison. Solbauer is an interesting one because I thought he was quite good. Kane on loan. Thomas on loan. Couple of ones where, particularly Kane and Thomas, where fees were spent. And, again, going back to what I say, not all transfers work out. We herald the Barnsley transfer system. There are always those examples like Luke Thomas. Maybe Herbie Kane. We'll see. He might come back stronger from Oxford. So in terms of the outs, Chaplin's an interesting one, but they banked money, according to Transfermarkt. Mowat's the big one, but look, once that had got into last year, then option, and he wasn't going to sign, then it was what it was, and we knew it was coming. Let's look at the ins. Devante Cole. Is he going to play that much? I don't know. We'll find out. Iseka, we don't know a lot about in respects of has he been quarantined or has been visa? Same with Olaire. So, look, we see Barnsley sign interesting players from Austria or Belgium or wherever and assume that they're just going to be good. So, with all the trust that they've built up, we kind of make that assumption. Josh Benson's already in and look 21 years old. You'll love to see that. Claudio Gomez from Manchester City, 21 years old. Could be an interesting one. All of the rest of those figures there. So, I would think Barnsley fans, if you include DK not being retained because he was on a loan last season, I think Barnsley fans would be somewhere in the middle there with the thumbs up, with the possibility that the two Belgian lads, if they're anywhere near as good as, I don't know, a Hellick or a DK or a Britton or a Styles type. No, Styles wasn't. He was already there, wasn't it? And he'd come from Bury. I can't remember. Anyway, those other players that came in. If he's anywhere near as good as then that's going to skew upwards, isn't it? I don't think it's negative, even with Ismail and DK and Mowat not being there any longer. I think one's a manager, one's a loan anyway. So let me know what you think on Barnsley. I think I'm somewhere in the middle on that. Here's Birmingham and Lee Bowyer, and this is a restructure, isn't it? This is Karanka. I know Birmingham have had a manager for 1 year, pretty much for the last few seasons, haven't they? So feels like it's been a restructure quite often. This one feels a little bit more tangible than the others under Lee Bowyer. Let's look at the outs then. Prieto, Guzman, Dakris Kogli, Terrell, Halilovic, Medina, San Jose, Seddon, Lakin, Cosgrove, Geacock, Villabla, Bailey, Lecco. I didn't realise Lecco had gone out and come back to Charlton. So look, a lot of players there that either played for Karanka and aren't wanted anymore by Bowyer, or particularly like Cosgrove and Lecco, ones that have come in that can they get a tune out of them on loan and maybe bring them back or get a fee down the line? Certainly anyone who's not of use to Lee Bowyer seems to have been shuffled out, which is kind of the right way to do it. Have they lost main star players? No, they haven't, have they? Incomings, Graham. Well, Woods has been in the team. Anike. And then look below there, Troy Deeney. That's a good fun one. Dion Sanderson looks good. Sakic has played games. Chong has been excellent so far. Have we seen Castillo yet? I'm not entirely sure. So look, on the basis of that there's a lot of goodwill around Deeney. Sakic is the starting keeper. Woods is already playing. And Chong could be a difference maker. It's got to be a kind of upwards thumb for Birmingham, hasn't it? I set out at the start. Have they lost players that were really important to them? No, not really. Have they brought in players that improve what they've got already? Yeah. So I think we're skewing upwards with the thumb there for Birmingham. Let me know what you think in the comments. We're going through an alphabetical order, by the way. Blackburn Rovers. We need to go straight to the outs there because obviously the big one is Adam Armstrong. It's going through, again, let's not get bogged down with fees. Just shy of 16 million there, and we think 40% of profit went to Newcastle as well. Mulgrew, Bell, Bennett, Lyons, Holtby, Evans, Chapman and Downing retiring. Have they lost a key star player? Have they lost a bit of experience, a bit of depth? maybe. Let's see what they've done to replace it. Teo Aiden, looks like they've spent a fee on him. He's been bouncing about a bit. Fulham was on loan at Ipswich, wasn't he? Lincoln, been playing regularly, hasn't he? And then a few loan signings here. Reda Kadra, a winger from Brighton. Jean-Paul Van Heck, a centre-back from Brighton. They seem to have so many. Ian Poveda, who's come in from Leeds. Leighton Clarkson, on loan from Liverpool, like Harvey Elliott last season. So, look, honestly, I'm somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of loans. I suspect Rovers fans would have liked some of that Armstrong money. I'm okay with them not signing a striker because Brereton, Diaz, Gallagher, Dolan, I think there's goals there. I think Rovers fans would have preferred 2 or 3 players on permanence as opposed to one on a permanent and sort of 4 loans, etc. So maybe just skewing slightly down on that reason. But there is money in the bank, you would assume, to do something in January as well now with the Armstrong cash raise. So maybe across the season it might start to skew upwards. But not quite sure whether the level's gone up or down from last season with the big loss of Armstrong. Let me know what you think. Blackpool, lots of ins and lots of outs. Let's do the outs now. Shaw, Wojciech, Feeney, Kai, Youssef, Turton, Garrity, Robson, Thornley, Sims released. I suppose Turton was a first teamer, wasn't he, last season, the right back. But then when you see the ins, I guess that is sold. Remember they had Ellis Sims last season as well. He was a decent striker. Lots of ins. Gabriel, we think, or Transfer Market thinks, for $750,000 there. So they've definitely replaced the right back, and I think it's like a 5-6 year contract or something. So they've really gone in long term on Jordan Gabriel, which you kind of like to see. Investment in young players that are going to stay there a while. Keogh, Connolly, Lavery, James, Grimshaw, Bowler, Carey, Casey, and then John Jules, Wintle, Sterling yesterday on loan as well. Another fullback in from Chelsea. So look, do they have more depth than they had last season? Yes. Do they have more star power? Probably. If John Jules and Sterling can get a tune out of. Look, I know what the COVID market's like, so there's not going to be people bunging a load of money, especially not a team that's just been promoted from League One as well. So, in respects of, have they lost anybody massive? No. Have they added more depth and probably a bit more quality? I'd say yes. I think we're skewing up with the thumb for Blackpool. And remember, don't get sidetracked. Yes, we understand that the calibre of player a promoted team signs is maybe not as high as an established championship team. We get that. The question I'm asking is specifically to Blackpool and their window, and have they improved their quality? I think they probably have. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is Bournemouth. Interesting one. Very interesting. And kind of parlays a little bit into last season where not much was spent, particularly not in anything was spent in summer last season. I know Pearson came in for a fee, I think, in January, didn't he? And a lot went out, so still balancing up those books at Bournemouth. Look, Dan Juma's the big one, we think 20 million. Surridge, out he goes. Rico, they have raised a lot of money there off of both Begovic, Taylor, Wilshere released. Now, have they lost quality? Yes, they absolutely have lost quality, especially in Dan Juma. What are you going to do, though? 20 million quid and into year 2 of the parachute payments. How have they replaced it? Neeland? Yeah, okay. Marcondes on a free? Good age. Let's see. Cahill? Bit of experience, depends what the salary is. Here are the interesting ones, though. Look, Jamal Lowe, who, I don't know whether he's a winger or a striker anymore. He's kind of converted, hasn't he? And Ryan Christie, who is highly rated. Again, don't get too bogged down with these market values on Transfermarkt. But look, 6.3 million looks like a bit of a direct response to Dan Juma going. Obviously, different types of players, but we're talking about creating goals. And Undisclosed fees, well, your guess is as good as mine. But I suspect a nice little amount there. Leif Davis and Morgan Rogers on loans as well, and he's pushed through some of the youngsters. I'm still not sure about Surridge going. I think that could have been sort of decent enough backup for Solanke. But hey, this is a difficult one to tell. Obviously, it's weighing up Danjuma and Krissy as the big one. I don't think they're in negative state here, are they, Bournemouth? I'm not sure it's a massive wow transfer window. So we're probably pointing upwards, but not a massive big wow. Let me know what you think, Bournemouth fans, on that one. And Ryan Krissy is going to be an interesting one, isn't he? On to Bristol City. And this is a rebuild, isn't it? From Mark Ashton going the chief exec and Lee Johnson into Dean Holden into Nigel Pearson now. There are the outs. Watkins, Jeju, Hunt, Lansbury, Patterson, Rowe, Walsh, Adelaken, Wallacott, Naj out to Pisa as well. Moore out on loan, Gil Martin, Mariappa. So, have they lost quality? I'd say Jeju, look, okay, they fell out in the end, but was a presence up front that they maybe haven't replaced. Patterson I always liked. He'll play for Swansea, same as Walsh. Naj as well. I think they liked him there, and after the Euros, his stock rose. In terms of the ins, James and King, okay, that's a bit of experience on free transfers, isn't it? The interesting ones now are obviously Tanner and Atkinson. I'm going to give it a slight thumbs down. Atkinson's been very good, hasn't he, so far? But they're hoping for a home run from Atkinson and from Tanner, which is two youngsters. And you tell me, Bristol City fans, I suspect for that to go into thumbs up territory, they'd have wanted a bit more of an attacking presence in the incomings. Maybe one or two more for it to go thumbs up. So they're very all in on the youngsters that they've promoted and the players that were already there. Obviously, so fairly quiet one in terms of Bristol City, and proof's in the pudding. If Atkinson's a massive star and they sell on in 2 seasons like they did with Webster, we'll revisit this and we'll give it a thumbs up purely on the basis of that. But maybe on the striking side of it, they needed a little bit more. Right, I've just downed a cold cup of coffee, so be patient with my speech now if there's a bit of a backup there. Right, Cardiff City. Remember, they are they were a year 2 parachute team, and they were only getting 2 years because they're only up for 1 year. So they've just run out, so we would expect things to be reined in a little bit. That did happen last season as well, didn't it? Glatz sell out 900k. I think they've made a big loss on him, haven't they? I don't know what the original fee is, but I think Cardiff fans will be disappointed how that's gone. Day, Williams, Bamba, Bennett. That's an interesting one. I always liked him. Watkins, who came and went very quickly. Hoylett, Waters. Are they not buying into him long term? I suppose he's only young, isn't he? Murphy, Wintle, White. Goodness me. So look, still a lot of culling has gone on at Cardiff since relegation and Neil Warnock, Neil Harris into Mick McCarthy here. Ins and outs. Well, Watkins we can ignore because he's already come and gone. Collins, Wintle's gone out on loan. McGuinness, well, is he going to get in any way ahead? Oh, did they sign him full time? I didn't realise they signed him full time. Is he going to get in any way ahead of Flint, Morrison, Nelson? Yeah, I don't know. Giles looks like a very good one on the surface of the loan, but what I'm seeing at Cardiff there, and I know Dave Bowman and Mick McCarthy well in terms of what they're going to do. I suspect Cardiff fans are thinking, this is feeling like a bit of a shoestring budget now, and so many players going out and even being loaned out. I've got to give it a little bit of a thumbs down. I think. Let me know what you think if you're a Cardiff fan. Inspiring? Not sure. Let me know what you think. Coventry. Let's go with the outs first. Bakayoko, Williams, Castaneer, Morosi, Cashman, Bapaga, Thompson, Mason, Biamu. Have they lost any star players? No, I don't think they have. And this is a team that was a League One team that's just risen up, and they're in the second season. What have they added? Gyökeres, for they think, £1 million. Cashman, we've already said he's come in and gone out on loan. Eno Bakari, I don't think we've seen him yet. Moore is in and playing as the keeper, isn't he? So that's probably worked out all right. You can see Morosi went. Waghorn, I like. Todd Kane is replacing, well, Sam McCullum was wing back either side, wasn't he? Kane will go and play down the right. Sheff, that's an interesting one because Cov fans had said last season, well, he's all right, but building up there. Martson, Clark, Salter in on loan. I think on the basis of what's gone out and that they haven't lost that much quality, you'd have to kind of skew towards a thumbs up. That it's hard to argue that they clearly have added a bit more depth and a bit more quality. In terms of first teamers, you'd think that Sheff is a long-term project. Gyökeres, that's good, that's positive, isn't it? 23-year-old striker in there. And then Kane and Sheff, you'd assume Kane's been brought into play, wouldn't you? So, have they brought in first teamers? Yes. Have they lost first teamers? Are the players they've brought in good or better than they've got? Probably. So I think it's probably a thumb up from me in terms of Coventry. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll go on to Derby. Goodness me. So let's look at the outs. Wow. Malone, Mitchell, Carson, Marriott, Ravas, Waghorn, Wisdom, Ibe, Edem, Josephson. For, we think, not a penny. All of those going out. And look, it's not Rooney's fault in this current window, and he's not responsible for that. Think how much was paid to bring that lot in as well. A lot of them were multi-million-pound signings in Mel Morris's halcyon throw loads of money at the Championship days. Income, and remember, is there some kind of soft embargo at the moment and dealings going on with the EFL and the restatement of the accounts and all that. Baldock, Stearman, Allsop, Jagielka, and then lots of promotions. Ravel Morrison in on a free as well. Look, obviously, in financial terms, and we're going to give you two answers here, and club terms, it's a massive thumbs down because they've lost a load of assets that they've not been able to cash in on for nowhere near what was spent on them. So that's obviously bad. In isolation in this window, I don't actually know what else Wayne Rooney is supposed to do. He's picked up as many players as he can to pad out the squad for no money. So obviously in terms of big picture, it's a massive thumbs down. Have they lost quality? Yeah. Have they replaced it? No. I'm not entirely sure what else he's supposed to do. So there is a kind of implicit thumbs up in the fact that the manager's hands are tied, but look, obviously it's a thumbs down in terms of what's led up to this and a club running in a sensible way. But it's been chaotic at Derby a fair while now, and will be until a takeover happens. Frankly, let me know what you think in the comments. Fulham, wow. Let's look at the outs first. Abubakar Kamara, Stefan Johansson, and Grisa on loan, and looks like a loan fee. I bet there's an obligation or an option to buy at the end of that. Bettinelli, Lamarchand, Kevin McDonald. Out they go. Ina, Kinga. Look, they're last season's ones, aren't they? Coming in as this season's because it's in August. Right. Have they lost quality? Yes. Yes, they have in Championship terms. But is that going to match up? Look, Anguissa obviously is a big hitter who probably wasn't going to be retained. And those other players, would they get in other Championship sides? Yes, they would. Would they be signed by other Championship clubs? No, because of the contracts they've obviously been on at Fulham, who've been in the Premier League a couple of times. Now, who has come in? Wilson, we think for 12 million. Yes, I understand it's going to be ratcheted over 6 years of a contract that will probably never be finished. Muniz, Nathaniel Chalobah. Interesting. It's always a player that gets promoted and then comes back down. Only 26 as well, a central midfielder. looks like a guarantee, doesn't it? Gazaniga has already been playing. Domingos Quina, he's another one in from Watford. And Carvalho, Francois Stansfield. Look, I've got to give it a thumbs up. And most of all, and I think Fulham are the biggest example of buying players that are difference makers as well, that not only will improve their team, but will actually be star players. I can't say I know a lot about Muniz and Flamengo, but it's been reported at £7 million. However, Wilson, Chalobah are just home runs. You'd think as close to... I know there's no guarantee with a player. Anyone can get injured. Anyone can go off the boil, whatever. But players that have done well in the Championship before and a good age as well. So I've got to give Fulham a thumbs up. I know fans of other teams will, be annoyed at the amount they've spent. But don't hate the player, hate the game. The system at the moment pays relegated teams £45 million broadcast money in year one. And we know a lot of them spend it on transfers rather than legacy contracts, which is what the money was supposed to be for. Again, that's not Fulham's fault. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Obviously, it's no consolation for the teams that don't have £45 million broadcast income. And there are 21 of them, obviously, in the Championship. So look, I've got to give Fulham a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Huddersfield. Lots of outs down that right-hand side. Keogh, Dehaney, Pritchard. Wow. That's an expensive player that's been a bust, hasn't it? Goodness me. Brown, Lutweiler, Stearman, Schindler. He was a bit of a legend with them, wasn't he? Daly, Critchlow, Bakuna. Edmonds, Green on loan. Niase released. Elphick retired. Sonogo released. Have they lost depth? Yes. Have they lost quality? Don't think so. Have they lost any of their best players, basically? Bakuna, yes, basically. Pritchard's just a strange one. Did he go for Norwich for about 11 million or something? Or a lot of money, anyway. Look, let's have a look at the ins then. Nichols, Ruffles, Turton, Rhodes, Lees, Pearson, Odabeko, we're into the loans now. Colwell, Sinani, and Phillips up and promoted. I think playing the numbers game, maybe they're slightly better off in terms of depth than they were last season. In terms of quality, are they much further ahead? They're probably a bit further ahead, but I don't know whether they're massively further ahead. And you would think a lot of the quality, if Odabeko and Colwell are as good as we think they are, a lot of the quality will be in the loan players. But that's fine. Loans are loans. So I think they're just edging up, but it's a big turnover. And I think it's safety in numbers, isn't it, that is making me think that they are a thumbs up there, Huddersfield. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hull. Let's see who's gone out. Flores, Burke, Long, Clark. I think Flores, that's doubling up for some reason there. De Vries, yes. Samuelson, Mayer, Scott. I suppose De Vries is the name that stands out in terms of losing quality there because he's going to play all the time for QPR. But look, they had to do that deal last season, presumably based on salaries, I guess. Income, Williams, Moncur, Cannon. Smith on a permanent is an interesting one, isn't it? That could be quite ambitious, possibly. Tyler Smith, that is. Matt Smith on a loan. Bernard, Longman. Huddlestone, who played all 90 minutes, didn't he? In the last game, we wondered how many times that would happen. Baxter. Look, how many players are in over the top of the players that won them the League One title last year? Not that many. Have they lost quality? Well, they lost De Vries, but they, lost him last season, so maybe that doesn't really count so much, does it? It's probably looking like a slight thumbs up, but that's not me saying, okay, they've now got a load of quality that makes them a middle of the table championship. They're two different things, and it's expectations, particularly when we're talking about the promoted teams. But I think the big thing is that Wilkes or Lewis Potter or Greaves or someone haven't been sold. So they haven't sold a big star, and I think that's probably the key to. They're not in negative, are they? So we'll see where that's gonna waggle. But I think the big thing is those players not going out. Let me know what you think, if you're a Hull fan particularly. Luton, who went early with a lot of their transfer dealings, didn't they? Let's do the outs. Chambers, Parker, Galloway, Moncur, Luar. And then look, Pearson and Collins did feel like the movement from the teams of the past of Nathan Jones to the team of the future for Luton. Tunnicliffe, Morel for money to Pompey. We think Kioso, Lee, Panther on loans out. Have they lost quality? Yeah. I think they've probably replaced it. We'll look at that in a second. But I think they've lost quality in respects of that they're moving on from the likes of Pearson and Collins, as they've done. Who was the guy that scored all the goals? They got Hilton as well. They're kind of now... Well, look at the players that have come in. Lansbury, okay, bit of a gamble given his injury record. Jerome, experience. Burke will now get in and start playing. I think he's fit now, isn't he? Bell, he scored, didn't he, already at Barnsley. Musgrave, Campbell, Mendes, Onyedinma, I think are all players that kind of are going to be going into the team and used a fair amount. And we've already seen Onyedinma have that excellent debut. I think Campbell's been playing, hasn't he? So I think it's going to be a thumbs up. Again, with Luton, it's always incremental. And the pond that they're shopping in, they're not buying Harry Wilson and Nate Chalobah, are they? They're going down to the lower division. So I think Luton, of all clubs, will take time for... you reap and you harvest, don't you? I think they're harvesting now for probably 18 months with these players now and developing them. But I think it's probably a net thumb pointing upwards, isn't it? Let me know what you think. Boro. That's a very Neil Warnock looking transfer window, isn't it? And Warnock's always one to gamble. He's okay to sell players that maybe you'd think would be first teamers. And when we look at some of the names, have they lost quality? Well, yeah, I guess so. Look, Johnson, Fletcher and Assombalonga. Look, he just didn't fancy, didn't he? They presumably were on big wages. Archer, Akpom's an interesting one because Warnock himself brought it in. Then look, Morsey and Saville. So that's clearly been done to raise money, hasn't it? I don't know how much of this is Neil Warnock knowing that he's not going to be managing for that much longer given his age. But he's a gambler, isn't he? Wing, yeah, interesting. Walker, Wood, Coulson, Mendes, Lang. Have they lost quality? Definitely. They definitely have. But I can see Borough fans going, well, Ben, look, where did we finish last season? Halfway up. So if you've replaced it with more quality... Let's find out. That's always the question. Pereiro, who knows? Look, Transfermarkt reporting £6 million. I know he's been playing with the under-23s, just working him in. Ikpeazu will do well for Warnock. You know he will. Daniels, Amiobi, Bamba, Peltier, Lumley. Oh, what a collection of brilliant Warnock sidings there. He'll get a tune out of some of them and he'll bomb some of them out. You know he will. And obviously Peltier and Bamba are old favourites, aren't they? Olasanya looks like a gamble. Crooks, that's good. Hernandez on loan could be a real Warnock deal there. He was good for Norwich in 18-19, not quite since. And then, I have to plead the fifth. Let me lean in to read that. Siliki, does it say? And Spora, a striker and a central midfielder. So, if he's got his scouting right, and if some of the Warnocky ones, and I'm talking about Amiobi, Bamba, he'd probably get a tune out of Bamba for a certain amount of games. Hernandez as well. If some of the Warnocky ones work out, it feels like a gambly transfer window because people like Saville and Morsey would have been okay. They would have. You can stick them on the pitch in the Championship; they'll do fine. But he's gambled, and foreign names here: Pereiro, Siliki or Sikili. Sorry, I can't quite read. It's too small on the screen. Spora. Let's see. Let's see how good the scouting has been there. I'm going to stick it right in the middle because it's a gambly one. And it could be a massive thumbs up or a massive thumbs down. Proof is in the pudding. But of all of those clubs, that feels like the biggest, throwing caution to the wind one, I think, there. In terms of outs and ins kind of equaling themselves out. And you see what the proof is in the pudding, don't you? Let me know what you think in the comments. Millwall, who's gone out? Oh, some favourites here. Look at that. Williams, Ferguson, Brown, Romeo, Fielding. So, again, a bit of a sense like Luton when you're moving on from Marlon, Romeo, Sean Williams particularly. I remember when they first came up in 17-18, those players were sort of key players in the team, weren't they? And William's been a great servant there for Millwall. Who has come in? Malone, Long, Saville, Ballard on loan, Afobo on loan, and Ojo. That was an interesting one late last night, wasn't it? So, in terms of quality, it's a thumb up from me, I think. We'll see how Rowett uses them, because I know a few Millwall fans are fairly impatient with Rowett now having, it's all very well having Afobe and Ojo attacking players like that. If you're too pragmatic, you won't make them any chances. You won't get them the ball in good areas. The thing that amazes me with Millwall is since Saville went to Boro and they cashed in, and obviously they've brought him back now, so that was a good bit of business. Obviously, lost a couple of good years out of his career while he was at Boro. Lost, you know what I'm saying, don't you? They still don't sell Cooper and they don't sell Wallace. So I don't know when that's coming, but they hang on in there. Have they got more quality than they've let go? Yes, I think so. How will it be utilised? Although I know that we're not judging that. That's two different things. But I think it's probably a thumb up for Millwall. How will it be used now? Let me know what you think in the comments. Nottingham Forest, as ever, will give us lots of ins and outs, won't they? Not quite as mental as last year, where it seemed like, and this was before Lamucci went out, they brought in about 10 players from a team that just missed out on the playoffs, didn't they? But there you go. Right, who's gone out? Dawson retired. I'm going from the bottom up. Diallo, Murray, Hefele, Sal, who was a key player for Lamucci, wasn't he? Da Costa out on loan. Iano out on loan. Arta to League One. Goodness me. And I think they spent a big number on him. We won't speculate. Ribeiro, Bakiru, Amiobi, Blackett, Gabriel for a fee. Have they lost depth? Yes. Were a lot of those players Lamucci players? Yes. Have they brought in much money? No. Is that Chris Hughton's fault? No, as well. So, yeah, it might be a bit of a case of the derbies there, where the sins of the past are having to be dealt with in this window. What have they brought in? Horvath, well, he's still not coming ahead of Samba, has he? Now, some interesting ones. Jada, a 21-year-old midfielder from Olympia. Draja, always one from Olympiacos. Obviously, Gabriel's gone out right back, so you'd assume those two deals are kind of linked. Zande Silva from West Ham, a right winger there as well. And then on loan, Ghana, Osei Tutu, Zinkernagel and Lowe. I'm right down the middle on this one. It feels like there's a sort out happened. But when you look at Forest and the key players who they've been, well, under Lamucci, it was always Lolly and Graben, Worrell, I guess, Cash the first season, Amiobi at times. Are there the different makers there that have come in? I don't know. I suppose Ajada, Draja, Silva, Zinkernagel. Yeah, but you know, as I go through the names, Zinkernagel will get goals and assists. Garner is good at championship level. They had him last season. And if the unknown quantities there, and look, they're unknown to me, obviously not to Chris Hughton. I pick my words carefully. Jada, Draja, Silva. If he gets a tune out of two of those, it's probably a net positive. We do have to disassociate ourselves with the fact that Forest have started terribly and only have 1 point. But that could be a thumbs up transfer window, couldn't it? And again, we need to disassociate ourselves from this, but I'm going to say it. Forest have had good players for the last few seasons, and other than just missing the playoffs under Lamucci, haven't quite punched their weight, and they're not at the moment. But look, we're not talking about that, are we? We're talking about the windows specifically. Peterborough, the Posh, just come up from League One. Out, go, Mark Tyler, age 44. I used to play him on Football Manager probably 20 years ago. Goodness me. Tastemir has gone out on loan. Broome, Clark to Norwich, Isa to MK and Hamilton to Accrington. Money in for all of those in a slow market. Jones, Cartwright, Blake Tracy, Reed and Ralt. Have they lost quality? Well, you'd say Isa, if they could have afforded to keep him around, would have been worth keeping around. But they've got good forwards at Peterborough, Clark, Harris and Dembele, and they put Marriott in. So, yeah, Isa's a decent player, but maybe he's a good League One striker and would have just been a squad player. So fair enough. Jay Chong, that's probably a project, isn't it? Cornell, Marriott, we'll see. And then lots of fees we think paid. Fernandez, Norburn's been playing. Randall, Poku, Tomlinson, Knight is good. And Grant is good. Connor Coventry on loan from West Ham as well. You always assume these players coming down from Premier League clubs will get on the pitch. I think especially with Grant and Knight, Marriott, who knows, played his best football at Posh, didn't he? I think they're probably in positive, aren't they, Peterborough? Based mainly on, again, Grant and Knight. And I know people will say, oh, Ben, they're not proven championship. But they're good players and they're good age and they're hungry and they're ready to go, aren't they? So, again, and I've said this about all of the League One teams, in theory, once you go up a division, you can attract better players and you've got more money. So it's not unreasonable to assume that the quality goes up. And again, it's not the issue whether that's enough to keep them up. Have they improved or, got worse? So there you go. Let me know what you think, Peterborough. Preston, that's been an interesting one recently because we always used to say Preston, Bristol City and Brentford, wasn't it? It's the old, now kind of dated argument of a couple of years ago with the good recruiters. Not so much now. Let's see what they've done this time around. Burke, out. Malt, Bodin, Ginley, Holland Wilkinson, Stockley, Bayliss, Gallagher, I think he's gone on the staff, Nugent. Have they lost star first team players? No. They did lose them in Davies and Pearson, though in January. So they haven't lost them now. That's because they lost them then, is a caveat. But look, we're dealing with the transfer window now. In Thomas, Ola Sunday, I mean, these are people that have already wound. Brown was already a gamble injury-wise. Now, here's the interesting one. Ali McCann, 1.26 million, says Transfer Market. Don't argue with me about fees. You don't know. Neither do I. From St Johnstone, a young player. And remember, they spent decent money on Ben Whiteman as well. So add those two windows there together. I like what they're doing there with central midfield. Josh Murphy on loan. Where did that come from? It's only 26 as well. Goodness me. Seems to have been around forever. Daniel Iverson, who'd already come in. It looks a little bit more like a Preston window of the past where you'd see people come in and improve. And obviously, we had the big sales, didn't we, of Hugh Gill and Robinson. I'm probably missing a few out. But big money had come in. And if I'm a Preston fan, I want to see, even if it's one per window, that player, Whiteman, and now the over £1 million we think on Ali McCann. So I think that's more encouraging for Preston. I think we'll give them a little thumbs up in this window. But if you accumulate the last two or threes, I think it's a trough that they're looking to get out of and get back to the good recruitment that they've done in the past. Let me know what you think in the comments. QPR. Well, let's look at the outs first. QPR, now we're calling them light horses now because 3 months ago they were dark horses, but now everybody seems wise to the fact that they're actually quite good, and they've been quite good for a fair while. Out go Lumley, Carroll, Smith, Kelly, Kane. Those two we think for fees. And loans there, Betache, Hammerline, Masterson, Kelman, Shadipo, Bon, Ote released. Have they lost any players that were going to challenge the first team? No, I don't think so. I think a lot of those players, in particular, people like Bon and Carroll, who've gone to my team, Ipswich, Lumley, they all had a go, and other players have got ahead of them. Who has come in? Dazelle? Not yet. Johansson has been good, and they like him a lot. Archer, Austin, again, player who was there last year. Odebajo always does a good job at championship level. Field, DeVries, again, were there last season, so we talked about this a lot. Johansson, Austin, Field, DeVries. They've managed to get in the players that did well on loan. A lot of clubs don't manage to do that, do they? They go off into the ether. Jimmy Dunn's an interesting one. Can't get in the team just yet with Dickey and I can't remember all the centre-backs now. Barbe. Who's the other one? At the back, DeVries. There we go. But young player and a fee's been spent. There's an interesting one. Andre Gray, who we know is on a huge wage at Watford. So I'm sure some dealing's been done. But surely, did Mark Warburton have Andre Gray at Brentford? I think he possibly did. So that's a rehabilitation job. And Look, it worked with Austin, didn't it? Aging striker who was paid a lot of money. Maybe going back somewhere where he's a bit more wanted. We will see. Andre Gray, where's my numbers? Was the top scorer in the Championship in 15-16 at Burnley, wasn't he? So there's a player there. And Sam McCullum, who hasn't quite been starting yet, but now Kane and Hammerleinen have gone. It's a credit a bit to Wallace, really, that he's managed to stay in the team. So look, it's like that, isn't it? But I think it's a thumbs up for QPR on the basis of who's gone out. Are they spending the Eze, Bright Samuel money? There hasn't been a big sale, has there? There's Chair and there's Dickey, you think, are big saleable assets that, look, you know what I want to hear, this Rangers fans. If QPR get in the playoffs and lose in the playoffs, one of those players will probably be sold next summer. But then you're looking to keep it moving and keep it moving. They are in, on the basis of the last 3 or 4 windows, they are in a positive upward recruitment trend, which we mentioned that Brentford got into and just never got out of, and that Preston maybe and Bristol City got into and kind of dropped out of. They're in the upward trend. So I'm going to give them a thumb up, and can they keep it going? Let me know what you think in the comments. Reading under soft embargo. So again, I know people are unhappy with Paunovic at the moment, but there's a little bit of a sense of what's he supposed to do. Out go Elise, excuse me. People get very pedantic about pronunciation. Not that I care, but I will. Look, I obviously do care because I corrected myself. There we go. Aluko, Bulldog, Walker, Smith, Richards, McNulty out. Have they lost quality? Big resounding yes. Elise and Richards would have been players they would want to keep or cash in for more than they've had to sell for. Who's come in? Dan, Hoylett, Drinkwater, Rahman and Halilovic. So, all on frees and loans. Again, what's Paunovic supposed to do? That's not his fault, but we're judging the club, not the manager. So, they've brought in experience on the cheap. So I think they're in transfer deficit here, aren't they? They've lost quality. There are saleable assets there, like Swift, Maite, perhaps Zhao, if he has a good 6 months or whatever, is a saleable asset. But I think even the most staunch Reading fan would admit, yes, they've done their best and brought in some experience. But I think they're in deficit here, aren't they? Let me know what you think in the comments. Sheffield United. This looks a lot like Bournemouth last season. I'm not entirely sure why, because Bournemouth we thought were in a lot of financial trouble. Obviously, look, they've been relegated and there's been COVID. They've got the parachute money, and it looks like perhaps your West Brom and your Fulham are doing it slightly differently. So I can see why Blades fans would think, what's going on here? There's players going out and not a lot coming in. Who's gone out? Ramsdale, 25 million. Big number there. Jagielka, Moore, Lundstrom, Jebison, Lowe, Bryan and Rodwell released. Have they lost quality? Yes. But they've lost it in a very, very specialised position in goal. So you can replace that, can't you? Did they sell Sander Berger? No. Did they sell Jack O'Connell? I know he's had huge injury problems, but you'd thought someone might come in and try and do a steal as a bit of a gamble there. No. Could have been worse on the outgoings, couldn't it, for Blades? Who's come in? Olsen, who was at Everton, wasn't he? On a loan as a keeper. And then Gibbs White, Hurahan and Ben Davies. And I think Blades fans are going to be saying that's Swansea's business from last season, isn't it? Gibbs White went into Swansea, just couldn't get fit. Not his fault, obviously. And so did Hurahan. So it's 2 players that have gone into a losing playoff team last season. Davis, I think, is a good one. And I think will get plenty of minutes. But am I massively thrilled by the incomings? Probably not. Could it have been worse? Yes. They could have shipped out Berger and another, I don't know, Jaden Bogle. Someone wants to sign him because he's young or whatever. So I think we're right in the middle on this one. Possibly down a little bit. Could have been worse though, couldn't it? But is it a massive infiltration of players who are going to dominate the division? I don't think so. Is there a lot of quality there? Yes, but that's not what we're discussing, is it? Let me know what you think. I'm probably skewing down on Blades there. Right, only a couple more to go. Stoke outgo Nathan Collins for big money to Burnley. Mikel, Wimmer, Bauer, Cousins, Woods, and we think then fees for Ndai, Sorensen, Vokes, Indy, Gregory, Lindsay, McLean, with a Phoebe, Etebo, and Noku out on loan. Now, look, this is an interesting one because Stoke have recruited terribly for the last couple of seasons, haven't they? Spent tons and tons of money and finished 16th, 15th, 14th. So we have to be a little bit careful dishing out lavish praise to Stoke for the outgoings because the business big picture hasn't been good. But to be fair, this window, you would say they've cut costs effectively. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like me spending 30 grand on a car and then selling it for 15 grand and being very happy about the 15 grand I've brought back in rather than the 15 grand I've lost. Do you know what I mean? We can't be too lavish on the outgoings and raising money. It had to be done though. Again, year 3 parachute run out last season and we think the iceberg is there to be hit financially if they don't get this right. So it had to be done. So there's a bit of a thumbs up for that with a caveat. However, the incomings are very good, actually, I think. Surridge looked good age and a decent fee, I think, given what's probably come in. Wilmot, yeah, excellent after they lost Collins. Dehaney, that's an interesting one, actually. Quite creative one from Huddersfield. Bonham, yeah. Vrancic seems to be, look, he's a bit of a luxurious, fun player, but he's putting the numbers up. Key passes and assists and things of that nature, very good. Ostigard, Sawyers on loan, and I don't know a lot about Abdullah Simmer. So, have they replaced players who've been ineffective for them and brought in quality? Yes, that's a thumbs up. Have they done it financially well by banking the, 12.6 million for Collins? Yeah. So it is a thumbs up with the big caveat that it's all very well when you've had 3 years of parachute payments, you've spaffed a load of money to cash back in and make losses. And in isolation in this window, yes, but with the big caveat that some bad practice had gone on before, let's just say. Right, two more, I promise, and then we're done. Swansea, ouch. Outgo Roberts, Ayew, Freeman, John, Lowe, Byers, Gould, Garrick, Joseph, and Routledge. Oh, have they lost quality? Massively. Key players from last season, Roberts, Ayew, Lowe. I always like Byers. I know Fulton and Grimes got ahead of him. And we should mention Grimes. They have kept Grimes. But obviously the manager went as well. And loan players from last season, particularly Mark Gray, we're talking about. Hurahan's not there anymore. So a lot of quality has been lost for not a vast amount of money. A couple of million for Connor Roberts, it says. Income, Pirro, Walsh, Patterson, Michael Obafemi, which I think Steve Cooper wanted him in January, didn't he? And didn't get him. So, yeah. Downs, Joseph, Williams and Laird on loans. So, look, it's very, very easy to look at this and go, yes, a load of quality has gone out and not much money has come in for it. That's bad news. So I think lots of Swans fans are going to be well in deficit. I don't think it's well in deficit on the basis that, look, Pirro 22, Walsh 23, Obafemi 21, Downs 22, Joseph 19. So the permanents are all young, apart from Jamie Patterson. But Jamie Patterson's a good championship player. Will do your job straight away. And then 2 loans. Might there be a drop-off in the short term? Yes. They're harvesting, not reaping, aren't they, Swansea? So I can see everyone will be very negative because of who's gone out in the comparison to last season. And I know there's going to be shade thrown at the owners, but there are some reasons to be positive given the age of the players that have come in. But I think they're in a trough now that might take a little bit of time to come out of quality rise. So yes, of course, I understand Swans fans are going to be unhappy. We're probably in negative recruitment territory, but maybe in the long game, it might come back. Will it come back to 2 consecutive playoff finishes? Don't know about that. Let me know what you think. Right, last one. Sorry, I know we've gone and gone. Hopefully you found the fast forward button if you just want to hear about your team. West Brom, year 1 parachute team, relegated. Pereira, big cash in. Harper, Higazi, outgo Edwards, Austin, Lonergan, Grzycki, Gibbs on freeze. Field is undisclosed. Sawyer's on a loan. Ivanovic and Robson Kanu released. Certainly a huge turnover and a huge reduction in wages. Have they lost first teamers? Yes, obviously Pereira would be playing regularly. Otherwise, players there who, probably decent championship players. Grzycki's always done a good job. Higazi I like, but they've got fee for him. Kyle Edwards, I don't know, fringe players, aren't they? Who has come in? Mowat, Reach, Mollenby, Clark, and Hugill. So, not a lot has been spent, but free transfer for Mowat is a good deal. Reach, I assume he'll be a fringe player. And then the loans, Clark, Hugill, Mollenby. I think I'm pretty much right in the middle. I understand that West Brom have a very good squad. And when you've got Dean, Garner, Grant and Robinson up front, do you need to add too much? You add Hugill on loan, fine. If you've already got Livermore and Mowat, stick Mollenby in on loan. If you've already got centre-backs, I don't know, Ajayi, O'Shea, add Clark in. So it feels like I'll give a right thumbs in the middle because the squad's already very good and they've just kind of pepped it a little bit. Probably better than Sheffield United, but not quite the all-in Fulham bish bash bosh approach. So maybe it's what it needed, and that's a good window. But I can still see Baggies fans would have probably liked a marquee signing, but then is a marquee signing always the right thing to do? Let me know what you think in the comments. Woof. Well, that took it out of me. We've gone nearly an hour. We have graded every club's transfer window again. Subjective, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. We're making predictions. Don't take it too personally. I'll either be right or I'll be wrong. It doesn't matter. It's just to facilitate some discussion. And please don't take offence to if I said you were thumbs in the middle and you think it's thumbs up. And remember point number 4 there. Not every transfer works out. Please do not comment telling me every signing you've made is going to be brilliant. It just never happens. Once in a blue moon. But across the division, what do you reckon? 50-50. There we go. Again, focus on the recruitment and expectations. Like particularly as a League One team, if I've given it a thumbs up, that's because they've improved their position. Which is quite easy to argue for a League One team. And again, let's make the distinction. There will be teams that have started well that have had a bad window, and there will be teams that have started badly that have had a good window. They're two different things, aren't they? Again, transfer marks the source. Don't do it with the fees. You don't know. I don't know. We can make assumptions, but they're all they are. No shred of fact in a lot of these numbers, and we don't know how everything's been structured. Please comment your opinion. Again, you're more than welcome to critique mine. All I'll say back is, what do you think? Let me know what you think. And that's the best way to drive debate over here. Right. Sorry, that was a long one. I'll try and put some chapters in there. And we'll figure out where every club factors in. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I think we're going to be back later today with Championship 365. I hope you enjoyed Deadline Day. Get your thoughts in on your club. And it's a big over and out. From me, thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.